Everyone misses this move, even grandmasters can't spot this immediately. This is the most common opening mistake that over 2.3 million people has fallen into it, and actually only 30% that actually got punished. So let's see what I'm talking about here. I'm talking, guys, about e4, e5. Let's take a look into this position. Knight to f3, knight to c6, knight to c3, knight to f6. The four knight games. And a lot of you guys, for sure, has played this position before. And now, what do you think about this move, bishop to c4? It looks okay for white, right? A normal developing move, put the bishop into the active diagonal, and so on for white. And actually here, black has got a really strong move that actually punishes this move brutally, which is to play knight takes e4. You may wonder, wait a minute, are you crazy or what's going on? I'm just losing a knight here. This knight is for free. And yes, I know that this knight is for free, but you will immediately regain back your piece after pawn to d5, forking those two pieces. So white got multiple options, let's discuss them together. First of all, if he could take his pawn back and play bishop takes d5, now you get queen takes d5, attacking the knight. The pawn comes into d3 to defend the knight and open up this diagonal for the bishop. You continue on developing with bishop to g4, attacking the knight and pinning the knight into the queen. And you got knight to d4 as a threat. You know, if white castles, you also castle queenside, and now knight to d4 is coming, pawn to f5 is coming, with bishop to e7, with this great kingside attack that you have here. Black has a really solid advantage. So let's go back and see how white could respond differently. Here, knight takes e4, knight takes e4, and now pawn to d5. Here, there's a line with bishop to b5, pinning this knight down to this king, and now relying on after you take back your piece, I'm gonna grab this pawn, attack you knight twice, which is pinned by the way, so if you play a passive move like bishop to d7 to defend it, immediately your advantage is gone because of bishop takes c6. And after bishop takes c6, knight takes c6, you got this double pawns, and after that white is just going to castle, and the black has got a weak structure, a very bad structure here, with no attacks, so that's exactly what you don't want to do. And you are gonna come to the comments, you made, and say, and write down for me, you made me lose with the stupid opening trick that you taught me. But not at all. Here I got you, and I saved you from losing that position. And here, if you take a close look, you will see that this knight on e5 and this bishop on b5 is actually not defended. So here you could play queen to d5, forking both pieces, and into getting a great position after bishop takes c6, b takes c6. Now you're attacking this knight, d4 is gonna come, which after that you are going to play bishop to a6, prevent them from castling, and you go on to a great position out from the opening. Another idea also here is to not play queen to d5, is to not double attack, but triple attack, and play queen to g5, skewering the knight and the bishop, and also attacking this pawn on g2. So what's white is going to do here? Here, white could take this one, and after captures, they take on c6 even, but now you got queen takes g2 with the attack on the rook immediately. And no matter what white does here, white is losing immediately. Why is that? Because let's think together. What if he just moves the rook away? If he played like a rook to f1. Here, you could go for bishop to h3, which double attacks the rook, which cannot be defended except for only the queen, which after that you are going to exchange everything and end up being an exchange up. But even stronger move is to here go for bishop to a6, not allowing the queen to defend, so white would have to play a move like d3, and also probably just the simplest and more efficient one is to go for bishop to g4 to hit immediately the queen, which is trapped here by the way. The only move to save the queen for white is to play pawn to f3, which after that you are going to happily take the pawn, and after that, yet again, the queen is trapped, queen takes f3, e takes f3, and you are currently threatening checkmate in 1. Rook to f2 is the only move to defend, but after queen to g1, rook to f1 again, now you could grab this pawn on h2, still threatening mate, rook takes f3, and after that, probably just simply bishop to d6, go into g3, and win the game. You are easily winning up a queen. I know you got that, friends, right? Of course I am. Alright, So let's go back all the way and see what could white do differently. So here, after knight takes e4, white may go, wait a minute, okay, I know that I'll probably lose the piece back, so what is the point of me taking this and allowing you this great center? So white is going to, think. Oh wait, I am a genius. I am going to give away my bishop on f7, so I check your king, get your king out from safety, and not allowing you to castle anymore at the game. And now what I'm going to do is that I'm just gonna simply grab the knight. You know, even trade. You took a pawn and you sacrificed the piece, I sacrificed the piece, and we're all friends, right? But not, of course, not specifically. Why is that? Because this variation is even worse than we just saw, because now black got pawn to d5, and he gets this big black center here down the board, and those pawns are just marching down, and they are very, very annoying to have pawns like that in the center. So, you know, most players here go for knight g to e5, delivering this check on f7, which after that you are going to respond with king to g8. Yes, I know that we are blocking this rook from playing into the game, but I'm going to show you how exactly you will move it and you will win easily with this variation. And right now, this knight is unstable because there is pawn to e4 coming down the board, and this knight is not defended. So if they are not careful and they decide to castle, for example, you will just go for pawn to e4, hit this knight, and if this knight moves away, then this guy is not defended, and it is for free. So let's go back. So what if actually white notices this and played d3? You know, just preventing pawn to d4, pawn to e4. What are you going to do about it as black? Here you want to go for h6, attack the knight. Okay, so the knight has no very much to go except for only the square on h3, which is very bad knight over the remove the board, as you know, as knights on the rim are dead. So here you could simply go for bishop to g4, again winning this knight to the queen. As you see, you got a great position here with those awkward knights. Actually, the most played move here, the most played one, is knight back to g1 and developing the knight, which is terrible. And why is that? I mean, why can you evaluate this knight as a terrible piece? Because it went from c3, that's one move, to e4, that's second move, to g5, that's third move, to h3, that's the fourth move, and then back again to g1, to back to the main original knight position. And here you could win easily with this move, pawn to e4. You may you may say, wait a minute, I'm just exchanging queens here after he takes, then why just exchange the queens? But yes, sometimes you can ignore the checkmate and just win the game easily. After rook takes d8, now you're attacking the knight. If the knight goes to anywhere central, or let's say knight to h4, then rook to d1 is checkmate in only one move. So white is going to have to defend that. So he's going to play knight back to block this check from the rook, which after that you are going to simply go knight to d4 or knight to b4. Both moves wins because there is no defense for the pawn on c2, and it's not the problem, the pawn, it's about the rook that white will even lose. You may wonder, okay, after knight d4 I may go rook to b1. But yeah, after knight takes c2, king to f1 here, you get a crucial advantage after a move like bishop to b4, hating the knight. If the knight moves, then yet again rook to d1 is checkmate, so the knight cannot move, this knight cannot move, and you know, the game is just dead lost here for white, as this knight is getting attacked, and basically this knight is trapped. Okay friends, so now we have learned about why this is a bad move, and we discussed after knight takes e4 the normal line, which is like taking, and we discussed also taking on f7. Now I'm going to show you how to actually, if you have fallen into this, as are you playing with the white pieces and you by mistaken and you went to have this position. What are you going to do here is that you are going to actually take on e4, and after d5 here, you just retreat back with your bishop to d3. Now white is forced to take that, and actually, like, there's two variations here that I am going to show you. The first one is that black recaptures back his piece, which after bishop takes e4, this is an equal position, but if you equalize the game as black from move 7 and actually gain a slight advantage, that is more than you want in the game. And which after that you want to play f5, but bishop takes c6 comes with check, then grabbing this pawn. So when you play bishop to d6 first, get ready to castle. Pawn to f5 is in the air with the pawn into e4. You will get a good attack over the king side with the queen coming in to put pressure, and you have a really comfortable life here. Okay, so let's go back for a minute. Here, after bishop to d3, there is even a more aggressive line, which is pawn to f5. You may wonder, wait a minute, I just sacrificed the piece and I will play pawn to f5, and yeah, that's true. Even though you will see the eval bar slightly changing into white advantage, but here the catch, after knight to c3, you are going to play e4 and you will regain back your piece no matter what they do. Sometimes white just castles here and allow e takes d3 and give away this check down the e file, but then you will play bishop to e7, c takes d3 and just castle and just enjoy a healthy pawn structure while white is not, and this bishop cannot develop easily. Knight to b4 is on the air at any moment to try to grab this pawn. Also a move like d4 could be really strong here. If white did not play it, like let's say h3, then you go for d4, you hit the knight because the knight cannot go to e4 because of this pawn, so the knight is forced to go back to e2, which after that you are going to go bishop to e6, put that bishop on this nice and good diagonal on d5. You could throw in bishop to d6 and slide the queen over also to the king side. This is the way you attack in these positions. So also let's go back for a moment. And let's see here if they don't go for it, how you could potentially still go for it. Here, as white, you could play knight to f3. Okay, this pretty much forces the black knight to develop here, and actually it does not work versus bishop c4. Alright guys, so be careful with this one, because after knight to f6, if you try to go into the same thing, like let's say here a3 for example, and bishop to c5, and you may wonder, okay, this is the trick that I saw and I am confident I'm going to play knight takes e5. This does not work here, okay? A big red flag. This is a huge blunder, because after knight takes e5, d4, you do not gain back your piece because there is knight takes c4. Alright guys, make sure to not fall for that. Okay, so let's drop back and I'll show you how it's done with the white pieces. Now here, you could go for a tricky move like bishop to e2. That's actually a tricky move, hoping of hope chess that your opponent plays bishop to c5, which is the normal developing move. This is the most active diagonal for this dark square bishop. And now you could go for it as knight takes d4, and this is going to win a piece. Also keep in mind that all of the other lines after knight takes e5 here and here and here, still they are the same but with the color reversed. So here you could go for d4, build your big center, and you should win the game. Also another line with the white pieces, it goes like this. So here after bishop to e2, bishop to c5, knight takes e5. Here there is knight takes e5 immediately, which after that you are going to play d4 as mentioned and win your piece back. Here black, okay, we discussed that the best choice is to probably just drop back and recapture back with the bishop. But here actually also black could take the pawn on d4. And that's a big thing that you must know. Here you will just simply capture back with your queen, now hitting the knight. Not only hitting the knight, but the thing here is that this queen is really annoying because it's hitting the pawn on g7. So wait a minute, what is black is going to do? Oh, black is in big trouble. Here black could play d6 to defend and hold on to his knight, but at least here, at minimum, you are winning a pawn as white. So here you could go f4, immediately attacking the knight. Go, roar, come on, give me that knight. Here, if the knight drops back, you just grab the pawn on g7, and queen to f6 is going to be probably forced. Exchanging the queen is good here, and after that, knight to d2 or even knight to c3. Knight to c3 should be good for white. So let's go back for a second. And black may want to complicate things by playing this move, queen to h4. Now, immediately delivering this check. Now, you got two options here. The first option is to block back with your queen, queen to g3, and the other one is to just block the queen with the pawn. Play pawn to g3. What's going on? Why are you coming here, queen? The queen will go retreat back, forced to defend the rook here on the corner of the board, which after that you are going to just exchange the queens, and once again we have reached the same position, which after that you are going to develop your knight, play an endgame where you are up a pawn, you got a really strong center, you got the two bishops advantage, and he got two clumsy knights that cannot move and cannot maneuver into a good outposts on the board. Thank you guys for watching the video. Make sure to check out our latest video on the intercontinental missile variation gambit. It's really cool stuff, and see you guys on the next videos. Goodbye.